clear that Smash Ultimate is an ever-evolving game. I mean, hell, we've already done a few videos discussing the unexpected rise of a few different characters, like the 18th Fire Emblem character or the Cocaine Bear. But what if I were to tell you that the character you all thought was the best in the game was actually trash? Yeah, I know you play Kirby and you jump way the fuck up and you do the rock thing, and that strategy is just so unbeatable, right? Shut the fuck up, you're wrong. If you're a tryhard sweaty weeb like all these people, you would know that this character has seen practically zero competitive relevance in a new Smash game since the flagship title of the series back in 1999. But what if I were to tell you that this same character is now making a resurgence 5 years into Smash Ultimate, and a Kirby player might have just gotten one of the character's biggest wins in series history? There's no punchline here. This character actually may be kinda good? Okay, before we dig into this story, allow me to take you on a trip down memory lane. It all started back in January of 1999, where the world bore witness to this lovely commercial where Yoshi beat the absolute fucking brakes off DK with a goddamn hammer, and we were like, huh, alright. Right on. Anyway, Smash 64 was released. Most of you playing Ultimate to this day probably weren't even alive yet, and it featured an all-star clash of Nintendo representatives like Mario, Pikachu, and even some more niche fighters like Captain Falcon from F-Zero and Ness from Earthbound. But subtly thrown into the fray of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 was a creation from a previous series made by the director of the game himself, Master Hero Soccer Guy. It was a pink little puffball with really good moves, multiple jumps, and a killer punish game. Now, I know that combination of words probably has a lot of my Melee viewers out there trembling. But in reality, the first pink menace to Smash Bros. Was actually Smash 64's Kirby. In a world where Pikachu just didn't exist in Smash 64, Kirby would clearly be the strongest character in that title. Outside of a weak recovery and an okay airspeed, Kirby has all the tools you would want in a character, like up tilt, amazing punish game, up tilt, consistent kills between a kill throw and edge guard setups, up tilt, oppressive hitboxes like the aforementioned back air, which invalidates the bottom tiers nearly all on its own, up tilt, and how could I forget to mention his most iconic move, up tilt. If you want to talk about a move that does it all, look no further. I'm not even kidding. It's a great defensive option, combo move, sets up for kills, pays your taxes. What the fuck are these hitboxes? Are you kidding me? Jokes aside, you really couldn't ask for more. It was this combination of incredible strong options and up tilt that propelled Kirby into one of the most consistent and strongest characters in the game. If we take a deep dive into some of the oldest majors in 64's tenured history, we will find a pair of Japanese events in 2008, the first and second editions of the iconic Kansai series. Here, it was Ron's Puff, no, not that Ron, that took the first event, but the following one saw both of the top two filled by Kirby mains, Tatsuman and Beriaru. In the following years, we saw players like Kikoshiki, Super Boom Fan, and Kiyoshiki bring home major wins with the character, and while still not as strong as Pikachu, Kirby saw at least one top two placement at a major from 2008 all the way to 2024. Nearly 20 years of consistent greatness, and up tilt. Now, surely, with all of these amazing tools and the fact that this was the only character in the game made directly by Smash's lead developer Sakurai, surely, certainly without a doubt, he would continue to be a strong character in the following titles, right? Well, since Kirby's heyday in Smash 64, he's consistently been one of the worst characters in the series. In 2024, he's seen as a bottom 2 character in Melee, a mid-tier in Brawl, the 6th worst character in Smash 4, and a bottom 10 character in Ultimate. Yeah, Kirby's been a little down bad. Now, you may be wondering what exactly they did to massacre my boy like this. Well, let's start in Melee, where they absolutely gutted Kirby's tools. He had little to no combos, a significantly weaker kill throw, and throws that just didn't even work, where you could just press a jump to get out of them. Like, you could literally just press jump. You didn't have to mash at all. That's insane. Yeah, he had a lot of jumps, but the recovery was very exploitable. The aerial mobility was just atrocious, and now with terrible hitboxes, Kirby can't even properly attack or defend. This led to Kirby being one of the easiest characters to just run away from and camp in every preceding Smash title. But Kirby had the pancake glitch though, so could it really be that bad? But yeah, a majority of times his matchup chart would come down to winning matchups being characters that have to approach and get comboed easily, and by comboed I mean like you get like one hit. You just get a hit. That's the combo. That's all of it. Everything else is losing. Every other matchup is losing. Kirby has no winning matchups. Outside of Melee, when Kirby actually hits you, he can pack quite a punch, but because of this lack of mobility and consistently clocking as one of the lightest characters in every title, Kirby dies earlier on average than he can kill the opponent in most cases. Kirby's best chance post 64 was arguably in Brawl, where Chudat showcased some of the most invigorating gameplay you've ever seen in Smash Bros. To bring the character all the way to a top 50 ranking in the world. This less than enjoyable strategy tried to work around Kirby's biggest weakness, his stubby hitboxes and low mobility, by making it as hard as possible to hit him. Circle camping with multiple jumps in the air, spamming crouch to fortune approach, and of course the inhale and prevail. I am replacing this term for something that you guys may know what it is, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube. But look, I know this isn't very fun to watch, but ledge camping as a strategy was at its strongest in Brawl, with characters like Meta Knight also being able to abuse the infinite invincibility refreshing. These small advantages led to a small amount of success in Brawl, but once the change was made in Smash 4 to remove invincibility refreshing without touching the stage, this strategy was effectively useless against anyone who knew the counterplay. Kirby remained stagnant through Smash 4, and we had one truly notable upset in that game's lifespan when Komodo managed to beat an at the time top 5 player at Frostbite 2017. A couple of high level players also pocketed the character, but besides that, we really didn't see much major representation from Kirby. Okay, so now we've made it to Smash Ultimate, a game that tried to even the competitive field by streamlining some specific mechanics, and as a result, well, Kirby still wasn't very great to start with. He was an all-around laggy character who once again lacked mobility and hitboxes to truly keep up with those high-tier menaces. Even after receiving major changes in 7 patches, the character still saw little to no use. Was he a bit more playable? Yeah, definitely, but in a game with characters like Steve, Sonic, and Aegis, was Kirby really worth it? To most, the answer remained the same as it was upon the release of the game. Hell no. Okay, jokes aside, we wouldn't be here talking about Kirby if some maniacs weren't able to put together some good results with the character. There have been 2 players in particular, Guilheww and JeJaJeJa, who have been putting up consistent results for years and made runs that truly made yourself ask the question, wait, is Kirby actually good? Before we can actually answer that question, you should first make sure you're subscribed. If you like this kind of stuff and you want to see more of it, subscribing is one of the best ways to let me know, and it'll help the channel a ton. Did you do it? Okay. Let's do this. So, we need to analyze Kirby as a character and see if this is a case of our 2 competitors just being really fucking good, or if Kirby has some secret top tier tools. If we're being honest, it's probably the first one. Alright, look, Kirby is a character that we'll always see play because he's popular and simple. Kirby is kind of similar to Mario in that he's an all-arounder. See what I did there? All-rounder. Okay, I'm sorry, but he's got a very simple and consistent moveset. Aerials could be a little bit quicker, but coming in at worst at -12 on shield, with a majority being -6 or better, Kirby has some relatively safe aerials to crash onto a shield and close space with. Once Kirby has closed the space, you're able to use his deceptively fast normals on the ground to overwhelm opponents who try to pressure him. And yeah, Kirby's frame data on the ground is actually pretty damn good. Like I said before, Kirby can be very deadly if he gets his hands on you. Or mitts, or Kirby doesn't even have thumbs. Is it only a thumb? Oh god, okay. Well, his frame 2 jab, frame 4 up and down tilt, and frame 5 get off me F tilt are all great scrapping tools, along with consistent combos off of grab. All of this is speculative based on grab. If you're in Kirby's effective range, he can smack the shit out of you big time. This is coupled with a frame 7 down smash and a frame 13 F smash that works as amazing finishers after a trip or a jab lock, and those are 2 things Kirby is very efficient at setting up. Kirby can also edgeguard pretty effectively, with multiple jumps to give him a plethora of mix-ups, and once he's tracked you down, he can drill you into the blast zone with the multi-hit down air. So another notable piece of information for Kirby is, unlike his airspeed, which is ranked bottom 5 among the cast, Kirby's dash speed is actually number 42 in the game, ranking between Young Link and Rob. So while it's not incredible, it's definitely serviceable, I guess. Let's go back to the combo game for a minute though, which is something that both of the players we'll be talking about momentarily are extremely efficient with. Kirby's biggest setups to start some damage begin with grab, which can combo into it by down tilt trip, a landing forward air, or a down air. This bread and butter can net 60% or more easily in the middle of the stage, or near the ledge can even set up for an edge guard, which, like we mentioned before, is pretty strong. After the grab, Kirby has some strong options. Up tilt, while not as strong as 64, is still an amazing combo starter on the ground. It hits on both sides of the character, and at the right percentage leads to a down air, which can either confirm into down smash or reset with another up tilt and close out with another aerial. So you can see how the percentage can rack up easily. This is a combo the aforementioned Guilheww showed off extensively when he managed to win an event event in Mexico over SkyJ and Cosmos, both with Kirby, but we'll get back to that in a bit. Just look at that, it's really cool. Kirby's other strength is his jab blocking potential. A majority of his best moves like forward air, F tilt, and down tilt all have very strong horizontal sending angles, so in combination with decent ground speed and the fast jab and forward smash, Kirby can delete stocks at impossibly low percentages. In a game like Smash Ultimate, that seems to be becoming more and more about the punish game. Having one as strong as Kirby's is enough to at least keep you in it. Okay, so back to Guilheww. This kid is incredible. Beginning as a Wi-Fi warrior in 2020 and before the back half of 2023, he was relatively unknown outside of Mexico. 2021 and 2022 saw Guilheww rise up through the ranks of Mexico's community, slowly getting better and better wins before eventually debuting on Mexico's ranking at number 28. He rose all the way to number 11 the following season and currently remains there on the most recent ranking. Guilheww became known to the greater Ultimate community at Mexico's biggest major of 2023, Smash Factor 10. This event brought out talents from North America, France, Japan, Spain, and many more. And it was here that Guilheww played one set in particular that displayed what he could do with Kirby against arguably the best player in the world at the time, Spargo. Given what we said earlier about lack of mobility, stubby hitboxes, and being extremely light, you would think that Kirby struggles heavily with the pair of characters Spargo used in this set, Byleth and Cloud. But Guilheww showed us that this character was capable of so much more than we ever thought possible. This set went down to about as close as you could have asked for, but whether it be his clutch factor or just getting tier list difference, Spargo did manage to clean up the set and send Guilheww down to losers, where he fell after a 3-2 to top Mexican Steve Many using a combination of Kirby and Greninja. Yeah, against Steve. I don't blame you for switching off Kirby. That matchup just looks so horrible for Kirby. Oh my goodness. Okay, since his monstrous performance, Guilheww has continued to be a threat at any event he takes the chance to attend. He's picked up multiple wins over the likes of Chag, Javi, MK Law, and even Meister. Yes, he's managed to win Game & Watch versus Kirby. Again, that is also a terrible matchup on multiple occasions. Guilheww even received a sponsored trip to Luminosity Makes Moves Miami, where with solo Kirby, he placed a respectable 25th out of almost 400 competitors, beating Tilde in the process. This even a little bit helped to validate that not just his playstyle, but his character is effective outside of Mexico. That Spargo result was of course the cream of the crop, but the tournament we wanted to highlight from Guilheww was, wait, what, a local? Well, I guess the locals in Mexico City are among the strongest in the world, consistently bringing in many of the country's best players, and this event was no different. In particular, it had two top 50 threats in the world, Cosmos and SkyJ, both in attendance, and Guilheww managed to conquer both. SkyJ is someone Guilheww has been able to beat in the past, but a double elimination here, along with beating the Invader Cosmos with solo Kirby, is something not many people out there could honestly do. This explosive punish game represents one side of the coin on how this character can be played at a high level, relying on those safe aerials and creating scramble situations rather than having the opponent come to him in many cases. This is also because Guilheww has been quite possibly the biggest innovator of the character, with his incredible up tilt to dare pillar combos, making effective use of them against two top 50 level players. We probably honestly could have made an entirely separate video about just his Kirby, and maybe we will one day. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments, but the main topic for this discussion was surrounding Kirby's biggest win in Smash Ultimate history, and the player that elevated this character to that summit, JeJaJeJa. Initially hailing from Oregon, JeJa's Smash journey started in 2019 as yet another Wi-Fi warrior. That's weird. And was entering, who would have guessed it, a ton of online events. Just for some perspective on how much of a grinder JeJa is though, on his Smash GG page, if you filter all events, there's 56 pages. And if you filter it to just offline, it's only 8. Okay. JeJa only attended a handful of offline events before the pandemic, but with all the practice received from playing online, he came out stronger than anyone could have imagined. His first big performance was at the Oregon Regional Back in Blood in 2021, where JeJa placed second with solo Kirby, beating players like Ludo and H4 in the process. Back in Blood remained a series JeJa would consistently top 8 at, and along with that, he started to get some seriously great placements in 2022, like a 33rd at SmashCon and 17th at Poor Priority. By the time 2024 rolled around, JeJa's game had improved exponentially. He was somehow continuing to get great results with such a limited character, pulling new tricks out of nowhere. Having beaten players like Ouch and Jared is King, both top 50 level threats in the time, JeJa wasn't too far from getting a huge upset at a major. Even in defeat, JeJa is generally able to keep it close against some of the game's finest, but he hadn't been able to bring it all together for that one big win just yet. Yet another opportunity arose for JeJa at an Indiana C tier Afterburner 2024. With top 50 ranked and a adjacent threats in attendance, as if it already wasn't hard enough, meaning Kirby, JeJa was going to have quite an uphill battle ahead of himself. And this event gave him absolutely zero breaks. It all started in the top 64 qualifier when Eclipse's Falco not only managed to start up 1-0 against JeJa, but had a significant lead in game 3 as well. JeJa did end up clawing his way back to victory in this one with a dash attack, and probably a year off his lifespan from all that stress, but that stress was not going to stop just yet. JeJa then beat the high-level Shulk Defoe in the first round of top 64 3-2, and that match was unfortunately not streamed, so we don't really know how it ended up going, but with how a majority of these other sets finished, I can only assume JeJa won this with a clutch one. His next match would be against Tennessee's #1 ranked player, Danny. JeJa had actually beaten this player once before this encounter 3-1, and given that Kirby can be quite the frustrating matchup for Wolf, I'm sure JeJa was confident about this rematch. This set was a war of attrition, and we mentioned before how Guilheww is generally a pretty aggressive player, but JeJa is quite the opposite. He has no issue crouching on the opposite side of the stage and waiting for you to come to him and reacting accordingly. As a high-level player, of course, the punish game is there, and it's very effective at that, but JeJa's game plan seems to be more about winning long games against the opponent. In this Game 5 set against Danny, the average game length was just over 5 minutes, and after a grueling 30 minutes, JeJa came out on top and advanced through the bracket. His top 8 qualifier was against Atomic, one of the best players in Texas. JeJa's signature slow-paced style wasn't as effective against Rob, though, a character with multiple projectiles and incredibly fast normals to deal with Kirby's scrapping situations. And after 2 last-hit games, JeJa was now down 0-2 with his winner's bracket hopes slipping away before his eyes. Game 3 started with JeJa having the initial lead, but once again went down to last hit, where this time he was able to sneak in a forward air and seal it up, and Game 4 honestly looked like a wrap. Atomic was up nearly 3 stocks to 1 and had JeJa in an edgeguard position, but a split-second decision by the Kirby changed the trajectory of the entire set. This interaction allowed JeJa to snowball the momentum and get a decisive win against Atomic in Game 4, and Game 5 saw a completely confident JeJa, and who could blame him? In response to the war of attrition style of approach not working well against Atomic in the previous games, he proceeded to chase him down for a majority of Game 5. The set ended with a missed tech chase from Atomic and a killer F smash from JeJa, securing the reverse 3-0 as well as a spot in winner's side top 8.
Punish on that.
Yep, punished, and JeJa pops off on Atomic.
I mean, after that reversal, I mean, I don't blame him popping off for that one. That's.
JeJa's winner semifinals opponent was one of the Midwest best Cloud players, Anthony Isn't Cool. This set was insane. These two were trading with each other like crazy, and you never quite knew what was going to happen next. Dominant victories followed by back-to-back unbelievable comebacks from both players brought the set to another decisive Game 5. This was now JeJa's 4th set in a row going to Game 5, and the level of mental energy needed to keep up with that long of a bracket is nothing less than impressive. But unfortunately, this Game 5 was nearly the end of all Kirby main's hopes and dreams. After 4 minutes of holding the lead dominantly, JeJa's lead slipped as Anthony finally matched him in percentage and even passed JeJa. Despite being on the ropes, JeJa was playing incredible, but in this position against Cloud, it seemed like Anthony had him checkmated. Until he missed it and SD'd. Yeah, what a kind of anticlimactic way to bring back the set. JeJa popped off knowing he slipped that win by the skin of his teeth and was one step closer to making it into grand finals. On the opposite side of winner's top 8, we saw the first seed Onin against Candle, one of the Midwest's hidden bosses and arguably the best Olimar in North America right now. In a surprise upset, Candle managed to beat Onin in Game 5 with a purple Pikmin snipe off stage and was now in winner's finals against JeJa. And I don't think anyone could have imagined a world where Kirby versus Olimar was the winner's finals matchup at an event of this size in 2024 Smash Ultimate, but hey, Scoregami, woo! According to JeJa and Guilheww's joint matchup chart, it seems like Steve definitely would have been a worse draw than Olimar, but this matchup still isn't all that great. And to be honest, none of the matchups JeJa ran into were very great, but that's the life of a low tier. Alright, well, JeJa was getting increasingly aggressive as the event went on, and similar to how he played versus Atomic, he started this set off on fire. JeJa effectively dealt with Candle's barrage of Pikmin, constantly pressuring Candle's range and not allowing him to pull more. The first game closed out with a 1-stock, and Game 2 was quite a different story. JeJa didn't just beat Candle, he massacred Candle. With a 3-stock including no 0-to-deaths, no gimps, just pure outspacing and great callouts. It looked like JeJa was finally going to break that Game 5 curse, and he was very close to being on winner's side grands at a C tier, something I don't believe had been done before. Wait, Candle won Game 3. Okay, Candle won Game 4. Come on, bro! These games were last stock performances, and in Game 4 especially, it could have gone either way, but once again, in a Game 5, JeJaJeJa was mentally prepared for what was needed to close a set at this point. Candle with purple Pikmin was an absolute menace, and Kirby can break the other 4 Pikmin relatively easily, but because of purple's strength and disjointed attributes, it's the hardest tool for Kirby to work around. JeJaJeJa adapted and found his way around the suppressive option, scraping together an early lead on Candle, and he didn't drop it for the remainder of the game, closing the set with a low percentage 1 stock and securing his spot in Winterside Grand Finals after 5 games. This was already the furthest Kirby had ever made it at an event of this size, and JeJaJeJa knew that all it was going to take was one more set to take the whole tournament. Now, who was JeJaJeJa going to see in Grand Finals? Perhaps the first seed Onin made the losers run, or the previously mentioned Anthony or Atomic made their way through losers for the run back, or maybe Candle just wins and gets their run back against JeJaJeJa. Spoilers, it was actually none of these guys. After losing all the way in round 1 pools, Kentucky's #1 ranked player Wildz, a Kazuya main, made one of the best losers runs of his own career at this event. He made an 11-set losers run to reach JeJaJeJa, including Doorstop, Anthony, Atomic, and Candle 3-2 in losers finals. Kazuya versus Kirby might seem hard for Kirby initially, but the character has some unique tools that make the matchup a lot more doable. Kirby's low profiling is one of the biggest advantages in this matchup, being able to squish that little pancake down to almost nothing and duck under a ton of Kazuya's moves, most notably Electric. And this move is so broken. Kirby's ground speed allows him to bully Kazuya in disadvantage, forcing him to burn options with multiple jumps, then using quick tilts to reset the situation. Pretty importantly also, Kirby doesn't really mind playing against Kazuya on Final Destination, which opens up other potential stage bans. The other biggest benefit is Kirby's floatiness. It definitely gets him killed early sometimes for sure, but Kazuya's range for landing electric combos gets cut down a considerable amount, meaning that if Kazuya isn't perfect with execution, Kirby might just fall out of combos. Game 1 of this set started strong for JeJaJeJa, and even Game 2 was going incredibly well, but in typical Kazuya fashion, all it took was one interaction to change the game, and Wildz ended up clutching Game 2. Games 3 and 4 followed a similar framework. JeJaJeJa would manage to get it down to the last stock, but Kazuya's punish game was just way too good. A Game 4 win led to a bracket reset, securing Wild's 12th win in his losers run, and he put JeJaJeJa's back against the wall. Or so he thought. For JeJaJeJa, his mentality was not any different. There was one goal in mind: just win one set. In the second set, we saw a fired up Kirby, winning the first game with a 0-death on the final stock. Wildz started with the lead, but like we'd seen so many times previously at this event, JeJaJeJa's final stock always seemed to be their best. The mental game was being displayed in full effect, and after all these years later, we've come full circle, and Kirby's iconic ledge camping strategy was being displayed in all of its beauty. After nearly getting hit with the Kazuya 0-death on his first stock, JeJaJeJa managed to fall out, grab the ledge, and punish Wildz with a neutral B inhale to gimp Wildz at a mere 35%. What followed this kill was, well, yeah, that. Just like it had done in the set against Candle, Forwarder came through with a clutch shield poke and launched Wildz into the blast zone, putting himself up 2-0. These games were going from down to the wire to JeJaJeJa winning by a considerable amount, seemingly unlocking his Hypernova form. Dude, he even pulled out the Guilheww classic up tilt dare loop, something we hadn't seen in this event up until that point. The way this set ended though, I'm just gonna let the game speak for itself.
Now is JeJaJeJa. Wildz tries to land and catch the shield. Doesn't work out though, and another shield break.
Oh, that's gonna be the
way
death
to end
of the stream and the death of the game. JeJaJeJa takes a shield break home along with the first place trophy.
Congrats.
Your Afterburner 2024 champion.
And with that, JeJaJeJa had done what many thought was impossible and won a tiered event in 2024 with Kirby. This character might be a bit underrated, sure, but let's not take away from the accolades not just JeJaJeJa, but Guilheww and the other top Kirbys have been able to put together with this character. I don't expect Kirby to be the next Corrin and be a consistent top threat at majors, but I think it's safe to say that a majority of the community once again gave up on a pink puffball a little bit too early into a new Smash title. Thanks for watching. Hey, thank you all so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more of it. If you want to help support me even more to make more of this possible, you can click the join button, which is right next to the subscribe button, which should be clicked already, but hey, click one of those, please. Okay, bye.